Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me, your boy Waddles. Welcome to a tutorial. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to build a super simple bee-powered crop farm. This build will work on Java and Bedrock Edition. Minecraft 1.15 added bees. Now, pollinated bees have a really cool effect on crops. When a pollinated bee flies over a crop, the growth of that crop is actually sped up, and this farm uses that exact mechanic to increase the efficiency of your crop farm. This build will also get you honeycombs, which is definitely an added bonus. If you're looking for an automatic bee farm without the crops, well, I've got a tutorial for that already, card on screen now. I made the tutorial a while ago, but the thing still works perfectly. So the materials, what do you need to build this bee-powered crop farm? Well, right here is pretty much everything in exact amounts. We'll start at the bottom. For this build, you will need 6 and a little more than a half stack of building blocks. These building blocks can be anything. You could use glass or you could use oak planks. It doesn't matter. Now back to the top. For this build, you'll need 1 beehive and 2 bees to get it started. You will also probably want to have 41 flowers. In this build right here, I use 41 flowers. The flower variants, that doesn't matter. You could use all 2 high, you could use all 1 high, you could use a mix. It really seriously doesn't matter. Just 41 flowers. Next, you'll want whatever crop you're trying to grow and then an alternate one. Well, I'll explain it a little more later, but yeah, so if you're growing potatoes, maybe get some wheat seeds or maybe some carrots, something else. For this build, you'll need a water bucket, 2 slabs, and a door. Now, for the automatic honeycomb collection system, you'll need all of this stuff in the middle here, again, in exact amounts. So go ahead, pause the video, collect all of your materials, and then find some open space for this build. This bee farm is kind of big. To build this farm, you'll need somewhere that is at least 13 by 14 blocks. It takes up that much space. To start building this build, find wherever you want the center to be and dig 2 blocks down. Fill those 2 blocks in with some water and then place some slabs on top of the water just like that to cover the water. Now it's time to set up that automatic honeycomb collection system, and also the home for the bees. Start by placing a chest and then placing a hopper going into that chest. On top of that hopper, place a rail, and then on the rail, place a minecart with a hopper in it. After that, you can go ahead and remove the rail. We don't need that anymore. Next up, place a temporary block on top of the chest and then place a dispenser on that block facing towards the hopper minecart. Then go ahead and remove that temporary block. Now right in front of the dispenser, place a beehive that is facing out. This is the front side. Make sure this side is not covered. After that, place an observer on top of the beehive, facing it, and then place a building block right on top of your dispenser, then redstone dust, and shear inside of the dispenser. That's the whole central machine. Now we're good to move on to the next part. But first, a small disclaimer. Technically, you don't need this whole automatic collection system. If you're cool with going into your farm from time to time and manually harvesting your beehive, then do that. You can skip all of this redstone and just place a beehive on top of the slabs. It's your call. Next, we need some farmland in this build. Your farmland should be centered around this middle 2 block area. Now, your farmland should go 4 blocks out in every direction from the middle 2 blocks. After you go ahead and dig 4 blocks out in each direction, then fill everything in, so basically you have a giant rectangle of farmland. The water that we place in the beginning and the middle will keep all of your cropland hydrated, which is good. That's a good thing. Alright, so I've used my hoe, got the farmland ready. Now, the flowers. So 41 of these things. These flowers should be planted pretty much all the way around all of your cropland. The bees will go from their home in the middle over to the flowers to collect pollen. When they go over to the flowers and back and forth, they're of course going to pass over the crops. That is exactly what we want. Now, the only place that I skip the flowers is where I put the door. Now, the wall is going to go on the outside of the flowers, and the door, that thing can technically go anywhere. So wherever you put a door, skip the flower just so you don't have bees right at the entrance when you're trying to enter the thing. Now, after you place all your flowers, place all of your building blocks around this thing. Make sure this build is fully encased. It should be 13 blocks long in one direction, 14 blocks long in the other direction, and then it should be 6 blocks high. Make sure you fill in the ceiling as well, and technically, you can take a little bit of creative liberty here. You can make it like a house shape, you can make it really anything you want. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'll just make it a box, but maybe you want to make something a little cooler looking. The important thing here with the walls is making sure they are fully closed in. Minecraft bees are pretty small. They can escape through a 1-block gap, so if you leave like a window, then you might come back to this thing and find that all of your bees have left for some reason, which is definitely not good. Make sure there are no open gaps on this build. A little bit of time later, and here we go. Here is my box. Definitely not the best looking thing in the world, but it works. Now, the final step of this tutorial is getting the workers inside of this thing. So now you'll need to go out into your world and find at least 2 Minecraft bees. Bees will spawn in flower forests and in plains biomes, but it might be easier to find them in the flower forest because there are more trees. Either way though, find 2 bees and bring them back to your farm. Bees will follow you if you have a flower in your hand. Once they are inside of the farm, both of them, close the door, go ahead and breed the bees so you get a third, and then plant your crops. Now, Minecraft crops grow fastest when they are planted in rows. That's why I said in the beginning to have 2 different types of crops inside of this thing. That's not something that you have to do, but if you want the fastest rates possible, you want bees that are pollinated flying over your crops, and then your crops planted in rows, alternating rows, that is. So that means I have a row of potatoes, next I have a row of carrots, then a row of potatoes, then another row of carrots. Now, you don't need to stick between 2 crops. You could use each and every crop. You could have beetroot, wheat, then carrots, then potatoes, then beetroot, wheat, and you get it. Either way, though, if you want the best rates, plant your crops in rows. Once you have all of your crops planted, it is now time for you to just go away, because the bees got it from this point on, unless you want to breed more bees. You can keep breeding the bees that are inside of this thing and get more and more and more, but only 3 bees can be inside of a beehive at any single time, so yeah, if you have more than 3 bees inside of the thing, you might notice some bees just kind of idling around, not knowing what to do once they're pollinated. At maximum, I would probably recommend getting 6 bees inside of this thing, unless you're going to add more bee nests and expand the thing and make it bigger. That is definitely something that you can do. Come back to your farm after a while, and you should notice that all of your crops have grown up. Now, you'll have to manually harvest all of your crops, but if you check the chest below your whole bee contraption, you should also have some honeycombs that were automatically harvested, which is definitely, like I said in the beginning, a nice bonus. But that actually does it for today's build. If you have any extra questions, don't feel shy about throwing them in the comments. I'll try and get back to you quickly. If you enjoyed the tutorial, or if it helped you out, consider helping me out by leaving a like on this video and subscribing. I do tutorials all the time. In fact, I've got a whole playlist for them, and I'll leave that playlist on the end slide. My name is Waddles. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until next time, elites, stay cool.